Good morning, students. I welcome you all in this discussion about clauses. And this lecture, which is a second part of our previous lecture, and it is in continuation, rather, we can say, in my previous lecture that I made a couple of days ago, which was based on the topic clause. Students, grammar is all about learning learning words and fitting them into sentences. And if you are handy enough, then you sound good. And if you fail to do so, then things fall apart. Means you may not be able to make any sense if you fail to do so. So really, learning clauses matters a lot, because once you learn clause and once you master it, then you will be able to construct a number of sentences in a different variety of rather sentences on your own, and you can make use of them in different type of writing, say it be writing essays, stories, journals, and like that. So it's a very important aspect of English grammar that, however, it is difficult a bit, because when we learn clauses, we must have knowledge about nouns, adjective, adverb, because these part of speech plays a very vital role, rather they are the basis of learning clauses, because once you understand these part of speeches, only then you will be able to master them thoroughly. So, students, this lecture is a part of our previous lecture, rather you can say this is the second part of our previous lecture. And in our previous lecture, you came to know what is a sentence and how a sentence is different from a clause. Just to remind you a bit, sentence is a group of words that makes a complete sense, and a clause can be a sentence or a part of sentence. So let's know the difference between sentence and the clause. Clause can form a sentence and can be a part of sentence. Very important. And sentence can have one or more clauses. Here, look at the difference. Clause can form a sentence, means, or can be a part of a sentence. It can be a part of sentence as well as a sentence, whereas sentence can have one or more clauses. For clauses, they don't necessarily have to begin with capital letter and end with full stop. A sentence always begins with capital letter and ends with full stop. For example, Ramesh saw a beggar when he was walking in a park. A clause can make a complete or incomplete sense. Look at this sentence. Look at rather the clause when he was walking in a park. When he was walking in a park. Here we have a clause. Okay, and by reading this clause, however, it has a subject and it has a verb. Okay, but definitely it makes a sense, but it doesn't make a complete sense, because for the completion of its sense, it depends on another clause that is used in the same sentence. Ramesh saw a beggar. Ramesh saw a beggar, which is a principal clause, rather you can say an independent clause. So a clause which is dependent on independent clause, that is a subordinate clause. So because it is a subordinating clause, it depends on principal clause, on main clause for the completion of its meaning. So a clause can make complete or incomplete sense, whereas a sentence, Ramesh saw a beggar, up to this we have a complete sense. And even if we add to it when he was walking in a park, we have added another clause to it, and it makes a complete sentence. Well, students, after knowing the difference between a sentence and a clause, let's know the types of sentences. How many types of sentences are there in terms of structure? So there are three types of sentences. We know they are simple sentence, compound sentence, and complex sentence. Well, further complex sentence, which is made of a main clause or principal clause and subordinate clause, one subordinate clause, or there may be many subordinate clause in one complex sentence. So this is all about the structure of a complex sentence. Let's discuss one by one all of these type of sentences. Simple sentence, a group of words having one subject and a finite verb is called simple sentence. I mean, sentence of having only one principal clause. For example, I meet a class. He comes in. They are sentences, very simple sentences. We have one subject, a finite verb, and an object. Okay, a subject and a predicate. It makes a sentence, a simple sentence. And as far as compound sentence is concerned, compound sentences are formed by clubbing together two or more simple sentences. Clubbing together two or more simple sentences by coordinating conjunction like and, or, but, yet, still, for, etc. For example, he tried his best. It's a simple sentence. He could not solve his problem. Now, again we have another simple sentence. If we club these simple sentences together into one, it makes a compound sentence, and we can do it by linking them by coordinating conjunction like he tried his best but he could not solve his problem. He tried his best but he could not solve his problem. So here we have made a compound sentence by clubbing together two simple sentences by means of coordinating conjunction, that is but. He comes in and I go out. Again here we have two simple sentences. He comes in, another is I go out, and both of these two sentences are joined by coordinating conjunction and. So this is how we can make a compound sentence out of simple sentences by clubbing together simple sentences. And the next type of sentence is the complex sentence. As the name suggests us, or the name sounds, that a complex sentence is having one principal clause along with one or more than one subordinate clauses is called a complex sentence. A subordinate clause generally starts with subordinating conjunction in such sentences. For example, when I reached there, she was reading a book. When I reached there, she was reading a book. The man is crying because he is cheated by someone whom he trusted the most. Here in these sentences, look at the first one. When I reach there, we have a clause, a subordinating clause. Then again we have a main or principal clause. She was reading a book. She was reading a book. This clause is principal clause because it is an independent clause. It makes its meaning very clear. So it independently conveys its message, its meaning to us. But the second one, when we say when I reach there, this is a clause, no doubt, but when I reach there, it is incomplete. It doesn't make a complete sense. It is subordinate clause. Okay, a subordinate clause along with the principal clause, it is a complex sentence. And look at the second example. The man is crying. Okay, man is crying. It's a principal clause because he is cheated. Now, because he is cheated, if we say only these words, because he is cheated, Okay, these word conveys meaning. Definitely there is a meaning in it. It makes sense, but it doesn't make a complete sense. Why he is why because he is cheated. Because he is cheated. Then what? What? By someone whom he trusted the most. Because he cheated by someone whom he trusted the most. Again, whom he trusted the most. There is another subordinate clause, whom he trusted the most. So in this sentence, we have one principal clause, the man is crying, and two subordinate clauses, because he is cheated by someone. This is one subordinate clause, and whom he trusted the most, this is another subordinate clause. So in this sentence, in this complex sentence, we have one independent clause and two subordinate clauses. So this is how we can make a complex sentence. So complex sentence, in complex sentence, we have a principal clause along with one or more than one subordinate clauses. So look at this sentence, pay attention to the first clause. It has a subject and a predicate formed with the verb phrase reached there. And look at the word when. It is mark of subordinate clause, which is not there in the second clause, which is also made of subject and a predicate.